mean, let's not mince any words about it, right? The reason that people are protesting in Los Angeles is because the only choice they have besides protesting is to watch their entire neighborhood get black bagged and thrown into a car and then shipped down to South America. It is protest or disappear. When people become that desperate to have their dignity, their humanity recognized, they will go out in the streets and force you to take them off.
All illegal immigrants in California will be deported. You can protest all you want, but it's not going to change anything, folks. So I suggest you don't waste your time protesting and go find a job. California has so many brokies, and you guys can see the reason now. They do nothing but protest all day, like that's going to do anything. How about you find a job and stop being a brokey? Like I said from day one when I got elected, I have no problem with immigrants, but these illegal ones are the ones causing all the problems. California has turned into a shithole of a state because of these illegal aliens being allowed in. All the nasty criminals and losers from all around the world, they're just walking right through that border like it's a free-for-all Diddy party. But any protester who gets in the way of our enforcers will be put in jail with all the illegal criminals. I need to teach them a lesson the hard way. Let's see how you deal with these aliens in jail and see how friendly they are to you. That big, beautiful wall is going to do wonders for this country, but more importantly for that shithole state of California. We need to bring the old California back.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Joy Report. In today's video, we're going to talk about immigration protests happening in LA and how black folks are choosing to stay away. The streets of LA are heating up again, but this time it's not because of another Black Lives Matter protest. No, this time it's the immigration communities, mostly Latinos, out in full force, protesting the teeth crackdown on undocumented immigrants, the raids, and the looming mass deportations. But what's got everyone talking isn't just the protests themselves. It's the silence from one group that usually stands front and center when injustice is in the air. That is Black Americans. And it's not just silence, it's intentional absence, because after years, decades of being asked to show up for everyone else's fight, black folks are saying no more. This time, they're staying out of it. And honestly, who can blame them? If this is the kind of content you enjoy, please consider subscribing, liking and sharing so that YouTube may recommend it to a wider audience. And so now, without further ado guys, let's go straight into this video. But first, let me play you a few videos on this matter and I'll come back with my commentary. As a side note, all credit goes to the creators of these videos.
Hold the fuck on. I see a lot of posts asking why we aren't out there protesting. We? Who the f is we? Many of us don't even live in California, so who the fuck is we? Because 94% of us did what we were supposed to do back in November. We wouldn't be in this predicament if a whole lot of those motherfuckers who are probably out there protesting had got out there and goddamn voted. You're not gonna tell me that if everyone had done their part, we wouldn't be in this predicament now. This is not a military takeover. Donald Trump is not taking over by force. They voted Donald Trump or allowed Donald Trump to be voted again. We did our part. Our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and some of us may remember getting out there protesting and getting tear gas, killed, beaten, thrown in jail. Do you want us to get our black asses out there and maybe we'll end up in El Salvador and never to be heard of again? I think not. We did our part. Many of us still use our platforms to talk about that miserable old wig-wearing bastard who's squatting in Obama's White House. Some days my goddamn throat hurts from talking about him. I stand in solidarity with anyone who is out there protesting, but I'm not going to get my black ass out there, and I advise the rest of you 94% not to get your motherfucking asses out there too.
I was just on a conference call with some Latin groups, and one of them was Latins and Hispanic for Trump. They had the audacity for me to ask me would I make some videos to try to get the black people to come to the Latino side on a protest against Donald Trump and what he's doing to the Latin people in Los Angeles. And now Donald Trump is asking for the governor of California to be arrested. And I'm on the phone, I'm listening to these people. And so one of my friends, what's up, Swole? Are you going to help us? I told him no. I said, you the same person last year mocked me because I was back in Harris. You the same person. You are the same people that voted for this man. Millions of Latin and Hispanics voted for Donald Trump. The black community is not helping y'all. I'm not helping y'all. I'm not protesting. I'm not doing no videos or anything like that. For the Latin community and for the Hispanic community that was backing Donald Trump, this is y'all problem. It's not our problem. And no, I'm not making any videos for any Hispanic or Latin protest against Donald Trump. Y'all voted for him. It's y'all problem. Y'all go ahead and protest and do whatever y'all got to do. But I'm sorry, black people are we're not getting involved with this. You voted for the wrong person. Now live with it.
Y'all, this is about the second video that's all. Second video of people saying, well, the first one, he called himself the equalizer. And he said, after they come for the Hispanic, they coming for us, the black people. How the black people just sit back and not doing nothing. It's going to be us next. We need to stand up. Power to the people. Then this other lady. The black and the brown need to come together. We minding our business. Why do y'all keep calling for us? We're minding our business. We told y'all, don't vote for that man. We told y'all, do not vote for Donald Duck. He does not have good intentions for y'all. He gonna send y'all behinds back. Do you know I made videos? Do you know how many videos I saw? Telling y'all, warning y'all, do not vote for that man. But people argue with us. We know what we're talking about. You got the Latinos for Trump. You got the Hispanics for Trump. And then the minute he starts sending your husbands and your wives and your kids and your aunties and your uncles and your grandmamas and your granddaddies back to where they came from, y'all want to make it a black person problem. It ain't a black person problem. Baby, we've been having problems for a whole lifetime. With the government, with the police. So you think if they come after us, that's new? Y'all need to cut it out.
Let's rewind for a second. Not too long ago, many in the Latino communities rallied behind DT. They showed up at the polls, chanted Latinos for DT, and proudly stood shoulder to shoulder with a man who made it crystal clear that deporting immigrants was part of his top agenda. He didn't hide it. He said it plainly, over and over again. And yet, a significant number of Latino voters still gave him their vote. They believed the hype, believed he wouldn't come for them, believed they were the good immigrants, that if they worked hard, paid taxes, and stayed out of trouble, they'd be spared. But now ICE is knocking. Families are being separated. TPS is being revoked. People who've lived in the US for decades are being rounded up. And all of a sudden, it's they need solidarity. Where are our black brothers and sisters? Let's be clear. Black Americans want them loudly. 92% of black women and over 85% of black men voted against DT. Black folks knew exactly what kind of destruction he would bring. They've seen this movie before. They've lived it. They try to tell the Latino communities that aligning with white supremacy would backfire, that you can't make deals with the devil and expect to come out clean. But too many Latinos didn't want to hear it. Some even went out of their way to distance themselves from black struggles, proudly claiming they weren't like those people. Some parroted anti-black rhetoric, fed into respectability politics, and thought proximity to whiteness would protect them. But now, the illusion is shattered, and suddenly, everyone wants unity. But here's the thing, unity isn't a light switch. You can't ignore black pain, downplay black protests, call black folks troublemakers, and then expect them to show up when your world is on fire. Where was that energy when black people were protesting police brutality? But as oppression and housing discrimination, where were the calls for unity then? Many of these same communities were silent, or worse, critical. Black people have always been on the front lines, from civil rights to immigration rights. They've marched, shouted, been arrested, and even unalived for causes that weren't solely their own. But when it's time to stand up for black people, the support is often lukewarm or completely missing.
I have been seeing some conversations and videos on this app, essentially critiquing and or condemning black folks for not being more involved in the direct action protests related to a lot of these immigration raids. I've seen a lot of gross mischaracterizations of what folks were saying around the election time, because there's a lot of like unresolved tension there for a lot of people. I've seen a lot of intellectual disingenuousness occurring. And I thought about kind of stitching some of the stuff that I've seen, but I honestly do not want to give certain folks the validity of being able to like lead or drive these conversations, because I think that they're woefully like inept in that regard. So I'm going to attempt to address like some of these kind of points in hopes of moving the conversation, because the main thing that's kind of a point of irritation for me is that there are a lot of folks who are couching these critiques and these condemnations in liberatory or social justice language, while not realizing that they're actually employing a colonial logic with no damn strategy. So I'm going to run through a couple of these things. The first being that this notion of the 92% just being selfish people who are going to fall back and not do anything. The reality is if you know anything about Black women, Black American women, I'm going to be very specific in who I'm talking about right now, you understand that these women are groomed from childhood to love through labor. You understand that there is no way in hell that these women were not going to be fighting and not a part of the fight. Even if they were having a human moment, because they were rightfully like slapped in the face with everybody's like bullshit. So they're allowed to kind of feel that and like have a visceral response to it. If you know anything about Black American women, you know that they weren't going to ever be out of this fight. And quite frankly, if you are spouting the idea that Black women are, you know, selfishly opting out or of it, I am actively questioning whether or not you are actually in the field like that. I'm dead ass. Because the Black women I know who do social justice and who do libertarian work never stopped. They never got out of the field. They don't even know how to not do that. And I wish that they did sometimes. They don't know how to do that because, again, they're groomed from childhood to love through labor. So if you are to even go with that premise is to build an argument and a critique from a false premise. That's number one. Once we get past that, I need us to also reckon with the idea or reckon with the understanding that Black people in America make up 13% of the population. And if you are levying your critiques and focusing your critiques on Black women, the quote unquote 92%, that's half of that. So we're talking anywhere from 6.5% to maybe 7% of the United States population. That is a minority of a minority. Why are we hyperfixating our critique and our ire on that small of a percentage of the population when the majority is getting away scot-free? Who and what does that serve?
Let's talk about the real differences in how protests are treated too. When Black folks hit the streets, they are met with tanks, rubber bullets, and tear gas. The media frames them as looters, thugs, and threats. But when other communities protest, the tone magically shifts. Suddenly, it's about family, humanity, and dignity. But Black Americans still carry the burden, not just of their fight, but of everyone else's too. And it's exhausting, it's demoralizing, it's unfair. So this time, Black folks are choosing peace, they're choosing silence, they're choosing to stay home. And now, the consequences are rolling in. The tea isn't bluffing. Mass deportations are real. Families are being ripped apart. And the protests in LA have been loud, desperate, and more volatile. But they're also missing something. That undeniable force. That unwavering fire that Black-led movements bring. Without the backbone, these protests feel incomplete. That's what happens when you alienate the most reliable allies. It's a harsh lesson. A FAFO moment if there was ever one. You fought for him, you voted for him, you wore the hats, waved the flags, and now he's delivering exactly what he promised. And now that the target is on your back, you're begging for help from the same people you ignored, mocked, or dismissed. That's not solidarity, that's opportunism.
So, I got a question about ICE. I don't know why I'm seeing so many people on social media sit there and say that you guys need to fight for the Hispanics, right? Because, you know, they'll get you too. I don't really understand because from what I've known and seen, right, I haven't traveled around the world, but, you know, I'm just going by what I've heard from other people's testimony, traveling around the world. When they hear us, when they see us, though we are Black and anti-Blackness is global, it is what it is, they still see us as American. Even so much so that when you have an African that says they go to the same place, they get treated worse than if they were a American, like Black Americans. It is so pervasive that American identity is like so important that even though somebody else who's Black, like who's African from wherever country in Africa, they will still talk nicer to you as a black American than they would an African. And again, I'm not saying that no black people will be affected. I'm not saying that Africans will be affected. I'm not saying that it's good that anybody's affected. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of getting tired of like this guilt trip that's happening towards black Americans where they're just like, you guys don't care. You guys aren't fighting for us. We fought for you. We posted a post about Black Lives Matter. We were out there protesting when George Floyd did XYZ and that happened, right? We listen to rap music. I don't know. Shit, excuse me. It's just, it's not enough. And again, you can be an ally towards black people in America, but I think I get so annoyed with this weird guilt tripping that's happening towards black Americans where people are like, how dare you? All you guys had to do was vote for Kamala. Now, I'm not saying Kamala would have been perfect, but Kamala definitely would have helped the immigrants. Now, will she have helped the black Americans? I don't know. She said, whoever I help will help black Americans too. That's kind of what she said. So if anything, it was still in the favor of people who were coming inside the country. So at the end of the day, you know, you guys should have voted for that, right? We should have had a majority of people vote for that. But you even had Hispanics, though they were not undocumented, right? But the ones that were able to vote, voted against people who they felt they were better than. And they didn't think to themselves, some of them, they didn't think that, oh wait, some of my family here that's undocumented, they might actually get taken away from me. Oh my goodness, wait, hold on, wait, they weren't doing that. They weren't doing that, right? Let's vote for Trump. Let's go for Trump. Oh, Donald Trump. They didn't care. I know that. I know. So, again, I think it's an awful thing, but it could have been avoided. It could have been avoided if guys would have just voted.
This isn't to say all Latinos voted for DT. Of course not. But enough did to tip the scales in critical swing states. Enough did to embolden his agenda. And the internalized anti-Blackness in many immigrant communities cannot be ignored. There's been a long history of trying to separate from Blackness, even while benefiting from Black struggle. And now, when the system turns on them, it's time for a reckoning. It's time to sit with the discomfort of knowing that many black Americans are not coming to the rescue this time. Black folks have every right to prioritize themselves. They have every right to say, we told you, and they have every right to sit this one out. After all the years of unpaid emotional labor, all the organizing, the marching, the risking of lives, careers, and freedom, they're choosing to protest their peace. That's not selfish, that's survival. So when people ask, where are the black people? The answer is simple. They're exactly where they need to be, watching from a distance, listening, observing, and remembering who showed up for them and who didn't. The deportations will likely continue, and maybe, just maybe, this moment will be a wake-up call, a moment of clarity, because if communities of color truly want solidarity, it has to start with respect, with honesty, with acknowledging that black people are not a tool to be pulled out when convenient. They're not the national moral compass to guide every movement. They are a people with their own history, their own trauma, and their own fight. Because this time, black folks aren't marching, they're not protesting, they're not playing savior. They warned you, you didn't listen. So now, you're on your own.
If y'all would have just voted Kamala Harris into office, y'all wouldn't be having these problems.
So what do you all think? Do you think this moment will lead to more honest coalition building in the future? Or will history just repeat itself? Let me know what you think down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it for me. I also have another video about black Americans' hilarious reaction to the DT and Elon feud. And if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, the Joy Report out.